Behavior's use of the computer code owned by Bethesda to develop Westworld even included the very same bugs or defects present in the Fallout Shelter code. Alright everyone, good morning. For our first story this morning, we are talking about Bethesda suing Behavior Interactive and Warner Brothers Entertainment over their Westworld game, which apparently looks and feels an awful lot like Fallout Shelter. This is a complaint for breach of contract, inducement to breach of contract, copyright infringement, misappropriation of trade secrets, and unfair competition, and a jury trial is demanded. Plaintiff Bethesda alleges as follows. This is a civil action for breach of contract, etc. They bring this action against Behavior Interactive for breach of contract regarding development and ownership of Fallout Shelter, a widely acclaimed mobile game owned and published by Bethesda. Bethesda also brings this action against Warner Brothers for inducement to breach of contract and against them for their willful and intentional infringement of copyrights, misappropriation of trade secrets, deceptive business practices, and unfair competition through their development, marketing, and promotion of the Westworld mobile game. Fallout Shelter, set in the post-apocalyptic universe of Bethesda's successful Fallout franchise, places users in the role of the Overseer, a designer and manager of an underground vault of people trying to escape the nuclear wasteland above ground. The Overseer must balance resources, fend off attacks from raiders and radioactive insects and monsters, and keep the dwellers of the vault happy so that the human race can survive. Bethesda conceived of and designed the environment and gameplay features for Fallout Shelter to fit within the aesthetic and storyline of the Fallout universe. Bethesda contracted with Behavior under a work-for-hire agreement to develop Fallout Shelter to Bethesda's specifications solely for use by Bethesda and no one else, including Behavior or any third party. Under the agreement, all Behavior work product of any kind, including code, designs, artwork, layouts, and other assets and materials for Fallout Shelter, were authored and owned by Bethesda ab initio as works made for hire. In October 2016, Warner Brothers began broadcasting the television show Westworld, a science fiction in which wealthy patrons visit a technologically advanced Wild West-themed amusement park populated by androids who allow the human guests to indulge in various, often violent fantasies. Warner Brothers, sharing a similar consumer demographic and recognizing Bethesda's significant success in bringing its Fallout Shelter game to a broad audience on mobile devices, engaged and collaborated with Behavior to develop a mobile game for its own science fiction property, Westworld. To bring the Westworld mobile game to market, Behavior and Warner Brothers utilized Bethesda's intellectual property without authorization to develop a mobile game with the same or substantially similar gameplay experience as that provided by the copyrighted Fallout Shelter mobile game. In so doing, Behavior breached its contract with Bethesda and utilized its restricted access to Bethesda's intellectual property, including Bethesda's copyrighted code, trade secrets, and other rights to compress its development timeline, reduce costs, and quickly bring the Westworld mobile game to market and offer players the widely popular gameplay experience found in Fallout Shelter. The unlawful use of Fallout Shelter's design, gameplay, and copyrighted computer code and source code allowed Behavior and Warner Brothers to develop a mobile game with features and gameplay highly similar to that in Fallout Shelter. The Westworld game is a blatant ripoff of Fallout Shelter. Working with the same copyrighted computer code used by Fallout Shelter, Westworld has the same or highly similar game design, art style, animations, features, and other gameplay elements as Fallout Shelter, all of which are owned by Bethesda. Behavior's breach of contract with Bethesda is evidenced by the gameplay of Westworld, which uses the same copyrighted computer code. Behavior's use of the computer code owned by Bethesda to develop Westworld even included the very same bugs or defects present in the Fallout Shelter code. For example, the demonstration version of the Westworld game includes a visible software bug or code defect present in an early version of Fallout Shelter code developed by Behavior to Bethesda during game development. This software bug appears when a player starts up the demonstration version of the Westworld game. Specifically, the view is out of focus and the scene that appears is far to the right and below the targeted landscape image. It is as if a camera capturing the scene had been inadvertently pointed to the lower right foreground and then slowly refocuses to the central image. The identical problem appeared in initial versions of Fallout Shelter but was addressed before Fallout Shelter was released to the public. While this error was ultimately fixed in subsequent builds of Fallout Shelter, the appearance of the bug in the Westworld game demo makes clear that the Fallout Shelter source code was used by Behavior in developing the Westworld game. Wow. Behavior and Warner Brothers' misuse of Bethesda's intellectual property, including Bethesda's copyrighted code, allows and continues to allow the defendants to benefit from the unique and popular gameplay experience created by Bethesda at its expense in Fallout Shelter. By utilizing Bethesda's copyright and other intellectual property rights, Behavior and Warner Brothers seek to attract consumers with the expectation of a Fallout Shelter-type gameplay experience. This wanton misappropriation of Bethesda's intellectual property in violation of Behavior's agreement with Bethesda harms Bethesda by, among other things, denying it the exclusive commercial benefits of the copyrighted code which Bethesda paid for and which drives the gameplay experience provided in Fallout Shelter. Bethesda seeks to enjoin such activities and recover statutory damages, actual damages, Behaviors and Warner Brothers profits, restitution, and attorney's fees and costs. Holy mackerel. So, you guys have seen something similar. Jurassic World Evolution is built on Frontier Development's Planet Coaster engine. Except it's also made by Frontier, so that's how it's supposed to be done. If Behavior is really using the Fallout Shelter source code to then build the Westworld mobile game, yeah, that's a huge breach of contract and copyright. They have then some images here of Fallout Shelter's gameplay layout versus Westworld's gameplay layout. They have a close-up here of what the rooms look like. But this is more than just substantial similarity. If they actually copied code, then that doesn't need to be tested with substantial similarity. It's sort of the illustrated room style character shading is similar. That I'm not so on about, so much as if they really did copy the source code or engine without licensing it. If you're using the engine or source code, you just need to license it. There really should be no ifs, ands, or buts here. So then they allege breach of contract, inducement of breach of contract, everything that they said in the beginning. Nothing is really enlightening or interesting here. We'll go over that if there's an actual ruling or summary judgment memo or something like that. Really interesting. I mean, unless whatever, we have to obviously wait to see what Behavior and Warner Brothers come back with. I'm going to guess that Warner Brothers hired Behavior and didn't realize that Behavior didn't have permission or something, or at least that might be what they'll say. Behavior, who knows what's going on there? They might come back and say that they thought they had a deal, and maybe they'll produce some evidence of something where they thought that they had reached a deal. Or maybe it'll actually be where someone thought that they had rights and just went ahead with a project and completely forgot to clear their rights. I don't know. It really could be as simple sometimes as a miscommunication between literally as few as 2 people or 3 people. Imagine if it was my job to get to clear the rights, and because somebody didn't hear from me, they assumed that I had done my job and cleared the rights, and so they went ahead with development, they went ahead with publishing, and then all of a sudden Bethesda sues them, and then you find out that this one person just never went ahead and cleared the rights. It really could be that simple, or it could be much more complicated and dramatic than that. We'll find out, or let me prepare you for this. We might not. If this is an open and shut case, Behavior and Warner Brothers are just going to want to settle it right away, because they're not really going to be able to settle it for less later unless Bethesda is being unreasonable. And we won't know whether they're being unreasonable unless the thing goes to court, and then we'll know that both parties were unable to settle it, and we can make guesses as to who or why then, based on what we know. But for now, looks like a pretty strong case to me, is all I'm trying to say. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me today. I am, of course, Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. This This program would not be possible without the support of our various supporters and sponsors, all of which are individual supporters and sponsors, by the way. So far, we have not accepted and are trying to resist accepting corporate or commercial sponsorships. This is therefore a fully community-supported channel at this time, and I think I'd like to keep it that way, but we'll talk to you about it before we make any major changes. I'd like to thank all of our June supporters and sponsors. Our $500 supporter and video sponsor for the month of June is Kareem Harper. Again, thank you very much, Kareem. Our $50 plus supporters for the month of June are Jonathan Doe, DJ Gilcrease, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Evie, Andy, Kyle Mudrock, Sean McNamara, Vera Montaigne, John H. Anderson, Michael Pierce, and William Gonzalez. And thank you very much to the $5 plus supporters that are scrolling on the screen and on the LED panel behind me. And there are also a number of less than $5 plus supporters, or others who did not want to be named in the sponsorship and all that, who are offering their support as well. Thank you all to all of you, both on Patreon and on Twitch. And if we ever hit 100,000 subscribers, maybe we'll open up YouTube sponsors. We'll see about that. So thank you everyone for joining me. I am, of course, Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. I will see you in our next video, which should be one of these VODs, plus maybe, plus not maybe. We are finishing the Lexmark video. Everything is shot. It's done. It's ready to go. You'll see it this week. So I love you all. See you then. Bye.